Even if you are a new rider, you will enjoy the tour because we are there to support you.
That's how the tour operates.
Correct.
To cater to everyone's need. And especially with the tour, spending 6 to 8 days with riders who have great knowledge of experience in the sport just helps them to mature as a rider that much more faster than staying away from the tour. A lot of riders, when they come and they can't finish a day's ride or two, they'll go back and say, I want to come back and conquer this. And with all the experience that they're getting from interacting with the riders.
Yeah. It is a tough tour, but you can do it with good training. Few months of training, you will be able to
Yes, absolutely.
And even if you are want to taste it, now there is 4 days of riding that you can choose either the first part
or the
second part and experience that. And probably next time you can sign up for the full tour. I am Venki, a working professional in IT as well as an amateur masters athlete and a coach for endurance sports. You are listening to the Working Athlete Podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, I have a small request from you. Please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also let me know what you like and what you would like to listen to more of by commenting in the comment section on YouTube. I promise to do my best to improve with each episode and bring you the best content that helps you and me get better each day. In this episode, I talked to Kiran Kumar Raju, or KKR as we lovingly call him. KKR was the tour director of Tour of Nilgiris 2024. Both KKR and I have a long relationship with Tour of Nilgiris. He started his journey in cycling as a volunteer at TFN 2010, and since then he has played many roles at the tour. From being a route marker to taking part in the tour as a rider after becoming a national champion in MTB to now taking on the role as the tour director, he has seen the tour from various perspectives. In this episode, he shares his perspective of how the tour and he himself have evolved over the years in various aspects. It was super fun talking about my favorite bike tour, Tour of Nilgiris, with one of my favorite people, KKR. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. This episode is brought to you by The Bike Affair. If you are in search of a one-stop destination that caters to all your cycling needs, our today's sponsor, The Bike Affair, is the perfect place to check out. I have known the founders of The Bike Affair, Krish and Gokul, personally for nearly 15 years now. In fact, my first century ride was with Krish back in 2008. They are both exceptional human beings and entrepreneurs that believe in providing exceptional service to their customers. And it shows. With over 14 years of experience, the Bike Affair has established itself as a trusted source offering honest advice and exceptional service. They are offering a special treat for the listeners of this podcast. You can enjoy a 10% discount on your first order by using the code BikeyVenki on their website. So if you are in Hyderabad, visit their store in Kondapur, or if you are anywhere else in India, shop online by using the link thebikeaffair.com. I will leave the link in the show notes. Now, enjoy the podcast. Welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast, KKR.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
We are here on Tour of Nilgiris.
Yes.
In 2024. You are here as tour director of Tour of Nilgiris. And I am here riding the tour and blogging about it like I always do. Right, but when you look at it, you have played so many roles at TFN.
Correct.
Right, your journey with TFN started back in 2010.
Yes, absolutely right.
And my journey with TFN started in 2011. Right, but I have played one role.
Yeah,
I've been riding and I've been blogging about it.
correct.
But you have played so many different roles.
Rules. Yeah,
You were a marker. You were
regular volunteer.
not just a volunteer. You were a rider. You were a rider who was a national champion in MTB, and you are now a tour director. So many roles you have played.
Yeah.
And although I have seen Tour of Nilgiris from 2011 till now, and I have seen so many changes.
Correct.
You have seen this tour in all these years, but in so many different roles.
Roles. Correct.
Right?
Absolutely right.
So let us talk about that. You know, the evolution of Tour of Nilgiris over the years.
Correct.
Let us start by talking about your first year at TFN.
Yeah.
2010.
Yes.
And let's take it from there. How was it?
Oh, so yeah, in 2010, I think in the month of September, August, September is when I got to know about TFN. And I was excited to enroll for it. And back then I was a student in 2010 pursuing my master's. I was not in a position to afford to ride that tour. Only to realize later, back then in 2010, TFN used to organize practice rides as part of training for their riders, participants. So there was one ride to Bangalore and Mysore, Bangalore to Mysore and back with support, not fully fledged, but to a certain extent. There was a sweep vehicle taking care of little supplies, and it was free. So that got me excited, and I took my Hercules MTB back then. It was one day to Mysore, and next day we come back to Bangalore. So on the way back, it just happened that I had a mechanical issue with my bike. Last 20 kilometers before reaching Bangalore on Kanakpura route, that was Kanakpura route, I got on the Metador, and there was a volunteer from TFN, Rakesh, who was taking care of hospitality, if you remember.
Yeah.
Right? So I just told, I'm not riding the tour, but is there any way to be part of the tour in some way? Rakesh was like, yeah, you can definitely be part of the tour. We are looking forward for volunteers. Why don't you sign up? I asked him, and he's like, yeah, we're happy to take youngsters and you're excited for it. Why not? Then I signed up for the tour. They said to start off, you have to be part of a certain department or a team that cater to the tour operations. And I was just happy to take whatever comes at me. And marking was the team that I was being included in. And I started, so marking team, what they do is they help the riders to make sure they navigate through the route on daily basis. We are a group of 3 to 4 riders, 3 to 4 members. We go in a car, take paint. We start early in the morning at 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
Well before everyone is awake. So we start our day marking right from the hotel all the way till the end destination.
Yeah.
Right through the city.
When you're talking about marking from one destination, one point to another destination, we are talking about sometimes 100 kilometers, 120 kilometers, 150 kilometers, 160 kilometers. Also, I remember doing right from Sultan Bateri and all that. So, and the number of turns and junctions that you have to mark, the marking team has to take care of.
Correct.
So that none of the riders miss a turn.
Correct.
Is incredible effort.
Absolutely. And
and there were no GPS files back in there.
Back then, yeah. It was completely the route markings that the riders were relying on, right? And when I started marking, and one of the days, Francis Lobo was one of the core members, joined me along the route marking because the route was not confirmed yet because of road works. And he joined and said, we will finalize the route now. While route marking on that day, riders never knew what's the final route until they saw the route marking. And that day, we had bad stretch of roads. And to make the riders feel good on that bad roads, Francis Lobo comes up with a caption on the road to be written, says, "Country roads, take me home." Like, why did you write this? This is the way you can communicate to riders to make them feel good. I was excited. I really got excited that day. And from that day onwards, especially 2010, 2011 and 12, all the 3 years that I was part of TFN, I was part of the marking team. I started communicating with riders through my words and sentences on the hills, the tough sections, especially the hills and all. Don't give up, you got this. Motivating words like that.
Yeah.
And riders were appreciating it. They were liking it. They were always coming back to the hotel and like, who was this person who was always writing? And I had the best interaction with the riders, and I got to know the riders well through this marking team. I was very excited, motivated that riders are liking it, and I used to enjoy my job for it.
So you, as a marking team, we don't tend to see them because before we wake up, even like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you guys are out there, right? We in a van with all the brushes and paint.
Clothes are completely,
and you are done maybe late afternoon or something like that, and maybe dinner or something like that. We kind of tend to see
get a glimpse
maybe
of
glimpse before you have to go rest and get ready for the next day.
Yes,
it is. I mean, it was probably the most invisible team and also the most visible team at the same time.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
If you don't see a marker,
you're lost.
You'll be lost.
Right?
But I remember, those witty sentences on the road when you are at your wit's end.
Correct.
Lifting our spirits up.
Yep.
Very, 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 commendable job. Even to this day, the marking team plays a crucial role. Even if there are like GPX files, new devices with all the maps and gizmos, nothing beats markings of TFN.
Yes. Right? At times, the markings, the paint quality or the concentration of paint was so good that we used to see the marking during the next year's recce. I mean, it was so thick, and at times the arrow dimension was so accurate. People used to get confused with the actual road markings and TFN road markings. Because I used to really love painting on the road. I got a hang of it really well. I used to make sure that 1:4 ratio is maintained. And Francis used to make fun of it. This guy is getting his engineering drawing into TFN marking.
Civil
engineering stuff into it. And it was very nice, right? And most importantly, the markings, then when I was into my second year of marking, by then I had got into racing. 2011 was my debut season into racing at BBCH. By then I knew a lot of riders about bikes, and I could relate to the riders suffering or enjoyment during a particular ride on the route. So I could relate, okay, on a hill, what should I ride at this point of time? Is it before lunch, after lunch, towards the end of CS, towards the beginning of CS? So the emotions that I could go through, I wanted to express it to the riders so that their spirits are motivated, they are not feeling bad or tired and stuff like that. So that me being as a rider really helped me to communicate well with the riders, not in person, but through my words and markings on the road.
Yeah, amazing. So, and then you were part of marking team in the 2010, 11, 12, and then what were you there at 2013?
No, I took a break.
Right.
Because at 12, by then,
you were
I was very actively racing.
Yeah.
I expressed to the team, if I'm getting back to Tour of Nilgiris, I want to do it as a rider. Fortunate enough, at that point of time in 2013, if my memory serves right, Bangalore Bicycle Championship and TFN collaborated back then to say the overall champion will get a free slot.
Yeah.
And I happened to win that free slot in 2013. But unfortunately, I couldn't ride because of my work in 2013. So the core team at Tour of Nilgiris was very accommodative to tell me that, okay, you can take this spot for next year. So I came back to 2014, by then I had quit my job, which actually is exactly a decade now.
Right.
So 2014, 5th December was my last working day. Back then it was from 16th to 23rd December.
Right.
So I rode my first TFN as a participant on merit from BBCH Championship. It was humbling. Unfortunately, I couldn't come well prepared, but I used TFN as my training background
as a
base block to start my career full time into cycling.
Yeah, that is an amazing journey. I remember because your journey was supported from, as an athlete as well, was supported by TFN's then founding, foundation, Ride a Cycle Foundation.
Ride a Cycle Foundation.
And Deepak, and and I remember you borrowing Ride a Cycle Foundation cycle, riding in sneakers in your first Nandi Epic, and I was there watching, and you were so pushing so much that it took you 5 minutes to recover after you crossed the finish line. The kind of heavy breathing you were going through, I was really scared that something was happening to this guy. Right? That was unbelievable. And then from there to see you, progressing, and in BBCH doing well in those races, and then progressing into quitting the job. You were working as a civil engineer, and then that passion, you could see that I want to pursue this full time. I'm taking it full time, right? Happened to be exactly 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly 10 years ago.
Amazing, man. So how was that? What are some of the memories that you remember as a rider in TFN that year?
My first year as a rider, I was very excited. The team was like, Kiran, we are missing a lot of markings on the road to start off. The marking team definitely missed me, and the lines that I used to, it was now peer pressure for the team to keep up to my words the standards I set there. But it was nice, and I used to pass on the knowledge to them how you can do this the most efficient way. They were very happy to take it forward and went above and beyond at certain point where the marketing team once decided just to draw an entire logo of TFN in the forest department, which made a lot of drama for the entire team. I think Deepak and Badri ended up washing the entire road. Right?
I remember that.
Yes.
At the base of Kalahati.
At the base of Kalahati, they decided to just paint the entire TFN logo, which didn't go well with the forest department back then. But me riding the tour for the first time was very emotional for me because I was looking forward to it like good 4 years. I always wanted to be part of it. It was very emotional. I met a lot of riders, but though I was not in my best shape, but I used that platform, made sure I can do whatever I could. And it also happens to be the most toughest tours ever designed in terms of route.
That was 2014 edition is till date the toughest edition ever. Because why I say that is, I've done this is my 12th tour, but that tour just is etched in my memory.
Yes.
Because there was Kalahati, there was Valparai, there was Munnar.
3 hills.
I mean, total, 14,000 meters of elevation, something like that.
Yes, 15 plus easy.
Yeah, I mean, crazy it was.
Elevation gain, yeah. And I used that edition as my training tour.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. And it was a great start to kick off my cycling career as a full-time athlete. And one particular ride, especially from Valparai to Munnar, was the most toughest ride ever on the tour. If everyone's memory serves right, about only 6 people reached the hotel, and the tour organizers then decided the last support station will be considered as the
end of the ride.
End of the ride.
Yeah.
And it was later optional, and everyone was swept from there.
So, I was one of those 6. We reached there by hotel by 6
6
or something.
o'clock. Yeah,
it
the
was
first batch.
It was almost dark.
Dark.
I was like, what is happening for rest of the people? Right?
Yes, it was a crazy sweep. I think that's the biggest sweep that TFN till date has operated.
Oh my God.
And
yes.
in that challenging weather was not a easy task.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they got everyone home.
Back home. Yes, back home.
And as always, the support team at TFN is easily the best I have ever seen.
Yeah.
They take care of the riders like, with such tender care, such understanding of their situation.
Correct.
That you won't find it anywhere else.
Yes. Right? If you remember 2014, after we reached Munnar, the next day was supposed to be a loop day, but they made it optional looking at the rider's condition.
Right. Yeah.
Right. People were dead tired. Very few took on the roads the next day since it was optional. Even I didn't want to ride, honestly, but Anubhav Karmakar, the guy whom I got to know him on that day, because we rode all the way from...
You guys did some crazy descent and climb back up. I remember you guys did some 1,000 meters of climbing that day. We took the easy route. We went, the weather was perfect. It was beautiful, sunny and clear skies. And we did a nice flowy, like 20-30 kilometers and came back. Took ton of pictures.
Yes.
While you guys ended up doing like 1,000 meters of elevation.
Yeah, and steep gradients. And this was not supposed to be on the cards after riding to Munnar. I hate Anubhav even today. And those are the memories that... I mean, that is where me and Anubhav became very close buddies, because the chemistry and relationship we share from that ride goes forever, right? These are the things that we look forward to.
These challenging rides, the kind of company you get, the pain you share, the suffering and it's a kind of shared suffering that brings people together.
Absolutely.
That's what bonds most of the riders at TFN, I would think, right?
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Back in 2018, if you remember, we had Kshitij.
Yeah.
We had one of these bad rain days. We had started the ride at the base of a hill, and we had to come back in pouring rain. We never wanted to let Kshitij go. And it was me and you made sure that Kshitij should always be following all the way to the hotel, because in challenging conditions, no solo rider can survive by himself. In a company, there's always motivation to stay at each other and keep motivating, egging on each other's spirits.
Amazing. Yeah, that's for sure. And 2014, you did as a rider. And then 15 also?
So 2015, I was supposed to ride, but unfortunately I had a tailbone injury. I had asked my best buddies to sign up, which was Karthik and Badri. Karthik came from Dubai to ride the tour, and unfortunately I couldn't make it because of my tailbone injury. But I made sure I'm on the tour. I came back to the tour as a volunteer. I was taking care of the race team and the support stations. Yes. So I was just doing the overall aspect of leading the support station and race teams.
Nice. The support stations, right? What are the changes that you saw from 2010 to now? We'll talk about the race segments and all that. But let us touch upon the support station and how they evolved over the years to now, right? 14 years.
So support stations are basically mobile support stations that we as organizers set up during spread across the road, right, on a particular day. So back in the day, it was just a small 3x3 tent, which was a temporary setup, which we could probably set up in, say, 10 minutes per se. But right now we have moved to Chinese tents, where it's a full-fledged tent where we can accommodate people during challenging weathers and enough food inside them. So the way the setup itself, the product itself at support stations, including branding, making sure we have enough food and supplies, not just for food, but for people to take shelter in case of emergencies or medical issues, right? That is one part, how the setup itself has been evolved, and we have upgraded the entire setup itself. Apart from that, the food, the choice of food catering to the riders. Before it was more like a snack to a rider. Now we look at the nutritional aspect. What are the things that riders look forward to when they are tired, right? When he or she is tired. Before we never had anything like fruits, fresh fruits and all. Now we have fresh cut fruits. We are trying to have sandwiches that's prepared right then, like Bina right now at support station 3.
So it's like nice dark chocolate, whole peanut butter, whole truth, sandwiches. Right after I finished, CS segment, and there were fresh watermelon, slices that are great for recovery.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
Amazing kind of.
Before we were focusing more on the packed food. Now we have salted peanuts.
All sorts of things, right? Salted peanuts that kind of address the salts that you might lose and all that. The fresh fruit.
Yeah.
I think the spread has only gotten
better. And before we never had supplements, right? Good scientific products to cater to riders.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we have products catering, sport products that's specific to endurance. Cycling, right? We have Steadfast Nutrition, we have Whole Truth, we have other brands who have come on board to support the riders, not just as goodie bags, but during the tour, which is helping riders hydrate well and make sure the nutrition is on.
For sure. See, when I'm on the ride and I, when these, the carburants and whatever is not there on the CS support stations, I had to carry my own thing, right? I have to, like, on a 6-hour ride, 7-hour ride, you need so much
of right? So much of calories.
And I have 2 bottles that I start with, but I have to carry that on the ride.
Right.
Now I have them available on the support stations.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? I mean, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we started taking little example from the running events where they give all the lemonades and stuff. So we started getting them. Why don't we do the same thing in cycling and take the good stuff that we can cater, keeping logistic challenge as a good balance.
The availability, if the sponsors are there, right products are there.
Correct.
It's easy to cater as well. That also has to be taken care into consideration.
We had this year, we had people squeezing out lemons, fresh lemons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, plus honey for your bottles. Everyone had their own way of proportions going. I need 2 lemons. I need single lemon. I need 2 spoons of salt.
Yeah.
So we had all that going on. It's nice. People trying to have their own mix. It's something I would see as a great change from 2010, where there was a fixed product. You either take it or leave it. Now you can custom order your nutrition needs, right? Which is great. Yeah.
Excellent. And that's I can see the progression in that, the improvements in over the years, small changes, the sukelis, the chickis, this thing now to like carburants and the fresh fruits and all that, right?
Yeah,
it's amazing improvement for the support stations. Now coming to, let us talk about the other aspect, which is the race segments, right? Race segments were introduced in TFN back in 2011.
Correct.
For the first time. That happened to be my first race, tour as well.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very, that experience actually shaped me into the rider I am today.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
If those competitive segments were not there, I don't think I would be riding like this now. I would
absolutely.
Not. I mean, I never considered myself as a racer, right? It kind of, acted as a gateway drug, I would think.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Because I always consider myself as a weekend warrior.
Yeah.
and I just trained for TFN because I was afraid that I will not be able to complete the tour.
Yeah.
6 months leading up to the tour, I
Yeah.
rode like 12,000 kilometers and ended up losing ton of weight. And showed up when I saw these people going fast in those CS segments. I got really excited and I'm like, oh, let me push and see what best I could do.
Correct.
And it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
At the same time, there is no pressure to take part in those CS segments.
Which made it.
It is like, there is no compulsion.
Yeah.
If you want to take part, you take part.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just ride through.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
That makes it special that there is no pressure.
Yeah.
There is just you if you tell the timing guys that you are not taking part, they won't even time you.
Yeah.
So there is no pressure as in, oh, I took this much time, others took this much time. There is nothing like that. You just enjoy, continue riding.
Yes.
So that is also very important, right? Yeah. Many people are not into racing. They don't want. They want to enjoy the tour.
Yeah.
That is what I found it very, very interesting and very helpful because it caters to both ends of spectrum.
Absolutely.
And everyone in between.
Yes.
Right? You want to taste it?
You can.
Taste the adrenaline rush?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
You don't want to, you just want to count the butterflies and click tons of pictures. You can.
Go for it. Yes.
Right?
So there have been instances like you touched upon, it was never a compulsion. So a lot of riders were intimidated by this.
Yeah.
So when a rider comes deciding that I want to enjoy the tour, what usually used to happen, okay, I'm not racing, I'm relaxing. They used to end up with people who are serious on the tour.
Yeah.
Over the dinner, that's when things go wrong. When the results are announced, they're all talking about the timings and all. The non-racing segment of riders are intimidated. Why are these guys hyping it so much? So after the third day, usually you see this weekend warriors are like, let me race today and see how it feels.
Yeah.
And that was enough. I mean, it was a kick for them probably to realize, hey, this is not bad.
I also enjoy this.
This, I think I should stay at it because it's not too long enough.
Yeah.
In a day's ride of 120 kilometers, the race segment is hardly 10 kilometers per se.
Yeah.
On an incline where safety is given much preference there because you're not going at crazy speeds.
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind, riders were happy to take the shot and only to discover I'm enjoying this adrenaline rush, right? A lot of people converted from weekend warriors to races like you, me. We were excited to talk about it, banter, gossip about it over the dining table. That was the biggest thing. At dining table, if the results were announced, people were going haywire, like, what's happening? We want to know the results.
Yeah.
So it was really nice touch.
Yeah. Another thing that there is always this excitement about what did you do, what did
exactly
you do? And like some people are like stealthy about it. No, I don't know. It's like
this is the students saying, right? Oh, it was okay, only to end up getting 99, 98. We had similar races also.
Right. It is super fun though.
Yeah.
Right. And another thing that I wanted to kind of talk about is that there is always this perception about the Tour of Nilgiris being tough and it is only for the pros.
Correct.
Which is, right and wrong at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because it is tough.
It is tough.
Okay.
That is fact.
That's a fact. It is a tough tour. We are not, contradicting that. But it is not just for the pros.
Correct.
I have seen over the years, even people who are like as little as 2 months of experience, right? 2-3 months of experience, into cycling, they sign up and ride the tour.
Yes, absolutely.
And the great thing about it is you will be getting the support that you need. Okay, because TFN team is there to take care of you.
In fact, you get more support for such riders than the pro riders.
Of course, because you don't need those guys are going and
reaching the hotel on time and stuff.
Before the luggage reaches as well.
Correct, at times, yeah.
Right. But when you are new, a new rider also, you understand that TFN is a tough tour.
Yeah.
And if you have the time and resources and energy, train for it.
Correct.
You will enjoy it. But even if you don't, you are not years into the riding, you will still enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Because the support system is there to take you to however much you want to ride.
Correct. Absolutely.
I think that is something that we have to let people know and understand, that you should not be intimidated by the tour. The experience of riding the tour is from the soaking in the vibes, interacting with the people,
riders,
that 100 more people that are there on the tour. You learn so much. You
so fast.
Yeah. You connect with so many people from different walks of life, right? I think maybe as a blogger I did not communicate this enough.
Yes,
right? Over the years.
Yes, we've talked about it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I want to make sure that this angle also comes out, because even if you are a new rider, you will enjoy the tour because we are there to support you.
Yeah, that's how the tour operates.
Correct.
To cater to everyone's need. And especially with the tour, spending 6 to 8 days with riders who have great knowledge of experience and knowledge in the sport, just helps them to mature as a rider that much more faster than staying away from the tour. Right? A lot of riders, when they come and they can't finish a day's ride or two, they'll go back and say, I want to come back and conquer this, and with all the experience that they're getting from interacting with the riders.
Yeah. No, that is true. Again, to reiterate, it is a tough tour, but you can do it with good training.
Yes.
Like a few months of training, you will be able to
Yes,
do.
Absolutely.
And even if you are want to taste it, now TFN entree is there.
Yes.
Where there is 4 days of riding that you can choose either the first part
or the second
part, and experience that. And probably next time you can sign up for the full time and all that, right? So that kind of accommodation is there.
Flexibility is
there. So excellent. We talked about 2015, where you came as volunteer, racing segments, and then support stations and all that. So from there, 2016, 17, what was the scene like?
So 2016, I came back as a national champion.
Yes.
So 2015, I won.
Freshly minted MTB mountain biking Indian national champion.
Yeah, that's how I got.
The son of the tour.
Yeah. So
the product of the tour.
Yeah, clearly, right? So coming back to the tour now as a national champion, I had a lot of limelight on me. People knew about me, and I had to live up to the expectations. Right? And it was amazing. I liked the challenge. There were a lot of riders coming from overseas to challenge with them on competitive segments back then, which was color T, the most talked about at the tour. It's unfortunate we don't have it now, but it was the most talked about then. Right? Talking about color T and just doing it under 1 hour on yearly basis was a great challenge. Right? Giving run for the expat riders who came from overseas. They felt great to compete with us. And just to be there as national champion. 2014, using this as training ground now, using this to show my performance, to show what I was capable of, and network with people, riders, and what TFN has done to me as a human was a great year, 2015 and 16. And the next 4 years, I was always there riding. I used to enjoy interacting with riders. Then the following years, it was not more of performance, it was more of getting to know people, interacting with them, sharing my cycling journey
Right.
through TFN, because this is where it all started.
Yeah.
And people getting to know me helped me in my cycling career to help me with funds, crowdfunding,
Yeah.
my sponsors.
Yeah.
Through the network of TFN riders,
Yeah.
made a huge difference in my career.
Yeah, definitely. And also the kind of things that you see, we talk about. This was what 2020 and 21. We didn't have the
We
tour,
didn't have,
right?
yeah.
And then 22 happened. Then were you there in 22?
22, I missed it.
Right.
Yeah.
But you came back
as
as
23.
the race director,
Tour director.
tour director in 23 and now,
Yeah.
24.
Yes.
And how was it like, starting out, with the support of the tour and, Rider Cycle Foundation, Deepak and all these guys, right? Starting out as a volunteer in the marketing team to someone now taking decisions for the tour as a tour director, right? Running the show.
Yeah.
So what all is kind of involved and how is it going?
So when I was a part of the marketing team, I had very little experience as a rider. As a rider, not from riding the tour, but after doing those 4 years of TFN as a participant, as a national rider, I understood there were few minor changes that needs to be changed from the organization perspective, keeping in mind the rider's perspective. So when I came back to TFN in 2023 as tour director, I was more towards the rider side than the organizer side. I wanted to fill in the shoe of the organizers where I can cater to the riders' challenge and emotions, right? Because there were few things, small minor changes that made big differences to a rider experience at the tour. So those were the changes that I wanted to get. For example, the smallest difference that I want to talk about is how the entire sweep used to happen back in the day when I used to ride as an experienced rider at the tour. In 23, when I was a tour director, I made sure the sweep process is given utmost importance for all the riders, making sure they're always kept warm, especially in the mountains, coming to Ooty. So last year and this year, the way the sweep operates itself, keeping in mind the riders' health, was the biggest change that I have taken decision as a tour director. Since I never had such a good experience as a rider on the tour. So that is one of the things that I want to bring about.
Yeah, no, for sure, right? And you want to be, when you mentioned sweep, something kind of clicked in my mind saying, I think we need to change the terminology there a little bit. Because it is it is not the broom wagon, it's not the sweep. It is your support.
Yes.
It is your support system
to keep you safe.
To keep you safe, right?
Absolutely.
When you need it, we are there
for you
to get you to the destination without any danger of riding in the night and all that, right? So I think we need to find new terminology for this.
Yes.
It is important because riders should not get intimidated by
the word sweep,
the vehicle behind you. They should feel assured that
I'm in good hands.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm being taken care of.
I agree with you on that. Yes, absolutely.
I'm being taken care of.
Yeah.
It is nothing negative for this.
Yes.
So there are days when people were volunteers were behind the riders, giving light and taking it. It might be possible for sometimes, but it might be safer to actually get them into the vehicle and take them home. But we have to kind of communicate that this is there to take care of you.
Correct.
It is not something
to be afraid of.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
That is very important.
So when I speak to riders, when that situation arises, I try to connect with them emotionally, looking at their face.
Yeah.
It's when we say, rider, no, you're running short of time now, I have to get you into the car. I try to understand what's going through their head and understand from where they're coming. They're looking for the completion, but I'm looking for their safety. That's how I try to communicate.
So there is always that there. So it also depends on the rider intention. If the rider is tired and doesn't want to ride, he'll directly get into it. And if he wants to complete, then it's a dialogue between the rider and the support team saying, I'll be able to follow you and
to a certain
extent support you to get to the completion wherever possible. And that decision has to be taken between them. Excellent. So and all these nitty-gritties are important for us to communicate for everyone, so that everyone has a nice, lovely experience at the tour, which is what we have been experiencing for the last 10, 11, 12 years for me as well. Now there are things like hospitality department that plays a major role, right? So what kind of things go behind the scenes to kind of make it happen?
So hospitality has really evolved a lot. Right from, I think, 2010, we stayed in YWCA. That's
2010, and my first tour 2011. YWCA in Ooty. I remember the place. It's a very, very basic accommodation.
Small cottage.
Small cottages kind of thing. And if you, even in the room, even with blankets, you are shivering. Right?
Washing our hands was the biggest challenge, let alone taking out.
And the warm water, we had to, there used to be a kind of, stove running outside, running on fuel, like wooden stove that is running with big vessel with water, hot water, and you have to go out and get
the bucket
and get it. Right. So from there to now,
staying
in star, 3-star, 5-star accommodations, the resorts. We are right now in Sterling, Fernhill. Right? Excellent accommodations. From there to now, it's a sea change.
Initially, if riders remember well, and if you remember well, the initial years, the baggages were just kept in the reception area. Riders used to come tired and search for their bag tags. To now, all the bags kept inside the room, ready for the riders to take shower and rest off.
I mean, by the time we reach, the bags are already in the room. Right?
Designated rooms.
And you just go take shower and get ready. These are the small things that make a huge difference. Right? The quality of the accommodations have drastically improved. And all these small things make a huge difference
to the rider experience.
And what else? Like what makes tour great, I think, to make all these small improvements over the years, is the kind of thought process, the brain power that goes into it, right? And over the years, there are many amazing human beings behind these improvements.
Absolutely.
Right? Some of the names that come to mind directly is, of course, Deepak is always there. And Francis, Badri, the walking Google encyclopedia, right?
Satish,
Sridhar, amazing people, right? Each of them, I think, have brought in so much to the table and shaped the tour the way it is now.
Absolutely.
Right?
And these are the people who have always tried to do that big change in every department. For example, Francis Lobo is the one who started getting, we are doing the marking part. Now, how do we educate the riders about what the profile ahead. That's when he came up with the Q sheet idea.
Yeah.
Then we started making Q sheets for the riders. Q sheets is a piece of sticker that can go on the top tube, which explains the profile for the entire day with landmarks mentioned on it.
Yeah.
Which was the easiest way to communicate to the riders instead of repeating the same thing to every other rider on the tour. Q sheet was your best answer, and that is when Francis came into picture. And similarly, we had the food issues. The food issues was a funny thing back in the day. It was like we had packed
lunch.
We had packed lunch, and we had the fast riders reaching SS2, and we had the slow riders in SS1. We used to shuttle between SS2 and SS3, which was not so great in terms of the operations of the tour.
Yeah.
That is when Badri came into picture and said, let's do the live food one. We had a food truck following us through the entire tour, setting up designated compulsive
compulsory food stops. For lunch stop.
Being strategically planning, keeping in mind both the slow and the fast riders.
Yeah.
That was a great move, and people started loving it because packed food from the morning by the time we get it to afternoon was never a great experience for the riders.
Yeah.
And the food truck was a great solution to it, and people enjoyed. And a lot of riders come back just for the food truck and the akki rotis that was at offer by the food truck guys. Yeah.
Amazing. All these guys have contributed immensely over the years.
Yeah.
For various aspects of the tour to be improved, right? And of course, we should never forget the founders that that started it all.
Absolutely.
Back in 2008 when with a small
bunch of idiots
discussion thread on bike zone with Ravi Ranjan, Rajesh Nair, Wheel Sports Venki, and all these guys coming together and starting something as 2 riders, 3 riders was the initial plan that they kind of thought about. And then it became, within a month or two, it became 40 riders. And all these guys sitting together and brainstorming how to organize this
tour.
Now, if it was only those 2 of them or 3 of them, they would carry everything on their own and just tour, right?
No, I mean, that batch actually is very special if you think of it. 2008, people wouldn't really fathom, did this guy ride the tour? We had the mountain biking community. Iggy, Nilesh, all these guys. I mean, we had Mani Hariharan on this tour who had done the tour in 2008. It was a welcoming change for him. He was astonished looking at the tour, though he came just for the half TFN, the first part, right? He was really surprised and happy to see how the tour has evolved over the last 14 years. And that first batch of riders are really special because most of them were on mountain bikes.
I think maybe like 2-3 riders were, Ravi Ranjan was on a road bike, Rajesh was on a road bike, and probably that's it.
That's it. Everyone else on mountain bikes. We had Badri and Francis.
Riding the
tour.
Those were the first riders that then became part of the organization.
Core team, yes.
Amazing, the kind of, we need to be really thankful for these guys to have started something.
The guinea pigs.
Right?
The guinea pigs. To test the tour firsthand.
The pioneers who kind of kickstarted all this.
Absolutely.
That turned into an amazing tour.
Epic Indian tour.
That it has turned into now.
No, absolutely. I think we need to organize a special tour for all the co-founders. Get everyone from the first batch and have a custom tour.
That would be amazing. Thankfully we have one of the co-founders riding this tour. Rajesh is part of this tour after more than 10 years coming back, and it's been so much great fun because my first tour, I was looking at these guys and learning, soaking in the experience and watching and following them every day to learn so much. And it is still the same,
Yes.
There is so much to
To
learn
learn
from
every
these
single,
guys.
yes,
And
absolutely.
I mean,
That never
that
changes.
never changes. I've ridden so much with him over the years,
Yeah.
but riding with him on the tour is
Again.
still very special.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely great.
I think we should definitely organize one for the entire founders, a special founders tour of Nilgiris.
I mean, I would be up for it.
Yes.
Amazing. What else? I think we have covered pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, man, great job as a
Thank you.
tour director.
Thank you so much.
And keep up the great work. And let us, hope to let us continue to do, a great job enjoying the tour on both sides of the fence.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your thoughts.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Pinky, for having me on your podcast. Appreciate it.
That was my conversation with KKR. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are enjoying these podcasts and are finding them useful, please consider supporting the podcast by subscribing to it on YouTube as well as on your favorite podcasting app. It really helps. Thanks again for your continuous support. See you next week with another guest.